Welcome to the Home Education with Ease podcast. I'm your host, Christine Furman, a homeschool mom, entrepreneur, and educator with over 20 years of experience in the areas of elementary and special education. It's my mission to help you create lifelong learners and embrace a holistic approach to education at home. I'll be sharing practical strategies, inspiration, and resources to support your family. Whether you're a stay-at-home mom, a business owner, or balancing work and homeschool, you're in the right place to connect with a community that values education just as much as you do. Join us each week as we ditch the stress, embrace the joy of learning, and set your family up for a lifetime of success. Hello, friends. Welcome back to Home Education with Ease. I'm your host, Christine Furman, your home education expert. Well, today we are diving into hands-on educational springtime activities that you can do with your kiddos. Well, happy spring, everyone. I don't know about you, but spring is such a refreshing time for me. The sun is shining more often, the temperatures are warming up, and we can finally get outside and be more comfortable. So it is a great time to get outside. In general, go for a walk and just enjoy and soak up that sunshine and those warm temps. But also, it's an opportunity to get outside with our kiddos and let them explore. Bugs, flowers, gardening, turtles, frogs. There are so many things to learn and so many fun activities that we can do too. So today, I'm going to share with you some of my favorite activities to do outdoors in the springtime. But first, I would love to know what are some of those favorite activities that you enjoy too. So maybe you have a hands-on activity that you've tried with your kids and it was a success. Maybe it was a failure. Or maybe there's something that you're like, oh my goodness, I've been scrolling Pinterest or Instagram or Facebook, and I've been saving all of these ideas and I want to try them with my kiddos. I would love to know what those activities are. So not only do I enjoy seeing all of the ideas that you guys have and all of the ideas that are out there, but it gives me inspiration for continuing to build and grow the EduPlay learning curriculum and activities as well. So share your ideas with us in the Home Education with Ease Facebook group so we can see what you're excited to do with your kiddos and what we can add and incorporate into other activities and future curriculum. Well, let's dive in today. So we're going to be talking about science, math, reading, some sensory and hands-on activities. So lots of ideas today. So first, let's talk about science, right? The outdoors is full of science. So our spring activity kit is full of science activities because it is just so easy and natural to do. So we always talk about gardening, teaching our kids about how does a plant grow? What does it need to grow? And we actually show them different types of seeds and allow them to plant and watch their plant grow. That is something that is so exciting for them to see. Like, I did this. Giving them that like a sense of accomplishment of like, I planted that in the dirt and I watered it and I put it in the sun and I watched it grow. So we can like tackle onto that a little bit of math where we can be measuring that plant as it grows as well. And then if those plants don't grow, right, we sometimes have failures. What happened? Why didn't that plant grow? Or you could do it on purpose. You could have them do multiple plants and then put them in different spots and allow them to make those observations. So I love that so much. It's really, harnessing that critical thinking and that problem solving for our kids, which is so very important. So think about that gardening, seeds, dirt, planting, all of those fun things. Great science activities there. Another thing, when you're talking about gardening, you're talking about weather, right? The water that we need, where does that water come from? How does the sun and the rain play a part in that? Talk about the water cycle. We talk about this a lot because it's so important. It's so much a part of our daily life, right? For them to observe the weather and for them to know, one, how are we dressing for the weather? How are we preparing for the weather? And also, can we track it? Are we looking at tornadoes or hurricanes, or are we looking at flooding, whatever that may be, or droughts, even, or fires? There's so many different types of weather that can be specific to your area, but also allowing our kids to know about those types of weather throughout the nation and even the world. So then that way they have an understanding of like, yes, it may be sunny here, but in other parts of the world, this is what they're experiencing. Because I thought that was very interesting. When we encountered our hurricane here in Georgia, and then we traveled to Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, and it was like nothing, there was no problem in Pittsburgh because they didn't experience what we experienced here. And it was just a different kind of a feel. So that was very interesting for me to experience myself. So definitely talking about the weather, talking about the storms, and tracking it as well. And that's something that we can do very early on in our calendar skills when our kiddos are just starting out in their educational journey. You could talk about the weather with our kiddos at that time too. Another topic that we talk about a ton are bugs, insects. Kids love them. I don't personally love them, but I love learning about them. There's so many, obviously, so many species to learn about. You could talk about honeybees. You could visit honeybee farms. You could get local honey. You could talk about ladybugs. You could talk about butterflies, doing the life cycle of that. The butterfly life cycle is one of my favorites. And we talk about that a lot. And we do a lot of different activities to show the life cycle of the butterfly. And it's just so much fun to be able to get the kids involved in these topics and these activities and just make it hands-on and make it something that they remember. Making it an activity that they're like, oh my goodness, do you remember, Mom, when we got those caterpillars in the mail and we grew them into butterflies and then we went to the park and released them? One of my best and most fun times, and experiences with my kids and my students at the time. And that's something that they still talk about. And I just love that so, so much. Making those memorable moments that are seriously lasting a lifetime. So that's so important to me. But there's so many things you can teach about bugs and insects. You can talk about the body parts and observe them, get outside and observe them and identify them because there are so many species, and being able to track it and write it down, which then leads me to my next point, which is literacy, reading, writing. Right? We're going to get outside. And a lot of times you think hands-on, we're not really going to be doing a lot of reading and writing, but you can. And there's a fun way to do that. So as a lot of you know, we homeschool and we also homeschool all year round. Well, how do we do that? Because we do activities like this. We get outside, we take our nature journal with us, and we document everything that we're seeing. We research further about the insects, the flowers, the plants, the birds, all of those things that we are encountering while we're outside. So documenting all of these things in our nature journal is so exciting for the kids to draw their own picture and then write about it, whether they are writing about a fact about it or they are observing what they see and what they hear. They could write just about the experience. When I was at Grandma and Grandpa's, I saw X, Y, and Z, right? And allowing them to just take that experience wherever they are and document it. And I have a special bonus for you about my nature journal. So be sure to stick around so I can share that with you. But you can also then lead into storytelling, poetry while you're outdoors. So we just read a little article about Walt Whitman, and he loved to write about nature. And he didn't believe that poetry should be written in school. It shouldn't be written in the classroom or indoors. You should be outside writing it. And that was so interesting to me because it was like, oh, yeah, like while you're outside, you are literally observing everything, you are in it. I don't know about you. When I step outside from being inside all day, I just feel refreshed. I feel like, oh, I just needed this fresh air. I needed the sun on my face. I needed the earth underneath of me. And it's just such a refreshing feeling. So, going outside and writing or just sitting there with your eyes closed and listening and observing all that's around you and then writing about it. And it doesn't have to be pretty, it doesn't have to rhyme, but it's allowing our kids to just kind of allow that observation to come out in their words. And I just think that's so fun. But you can also then turn that into just some kind of fun poetry with haikus, acrostic poems. And, we do this one as well where we have the word spring and they have to come up with a word for each of the letters. Ella loves doing these. She does them for everyone's birthday. And I love it so much because she's always asking me, well, what are some words that start with the letter E or M or that describes that person? So she'll take their name and then, write a word that describes that person with each of those letters. And I think that just allowing them to show their creativity in those ways, it's just really neat to be able to see that. So kind of think about these ideas, creating a haiku where it's a special poem. I remember I didn't love them in school because it was hard. It was forced. And by being able to take this maybe outside and giving them plenty of examples and saying, you know what, it doesn't have to be perfect. Let's just have fun with it because that's what it's really about. It's just about having fun and trying something new and just encouraging our kids. Just try something new. Let's just try it out and let's do it together. Because a lot of times when we do things together, it allows them to just like, okay, yeah, I could do this with you, mom. As we're talking about reading, writing activities, reading. So a read aloud. I love reading with my kids because now they're reading the chapter books to me. And now I can identify vocabulary words. Maybe they missed, or maybe they mispronounced that word, or they said a word correctly, but I'm like, do you know what that means? Do you know what they're saying here? And I did talk about this in some previous episodes about reading, because we can take these books that we're reading out loud and just have fun with it and just ask them questions. So we typically read chapter books throughout the month, maybe a couple weeks, depending on our schedule. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer. So this is something that you can then lean into a spring chapter book. For us, that we're going to be diving into is Amelia Earhart, her story. Why are we doing that? One, we're talking about kites as a springtime collection. And then also March is more about the women's history. So it's such a great story and a great chapter to dive into and learn about someone in our history, someone that made such big accomplishments. And so by being able to take these stories and go outside and read, again, such a refreshing feeling to just kind of sit on the back porch and just read a couple chapters or go to the park and read a couple chapters and then let them go play. So some ideas here that you can incorporate into your daily activities. Other things, we were talking about math a little bit when we were talking about our plants and their growing, and we could do some measurements and watch them grow. We could also go outside and we can count. We can count those seeds. We can count flowers. We can sort them. We can identify different trees and count different trees on a nature walk. We could identify birds and count the birds that we're seeing. We can also then incorporate some geometry. So we are doing geometry in the month of March. And what we're going to be doing in April, actually, because we do area and perimeter too in the gardening collection. But then we also are doing a geometry lesson in our kites. So we're talking about different shapes and 2D and 3D. And we're talking about finding those shapes in our everyday life, whether it's indoors or outdoors. And you can certainly go on an outdoor hike or a nature walk and start looking for those shapes, whether they are the 2D shapes, depending on where your kiddos are at, or are they the 3D shapes? We're looking for a cylinder. We're looking for a sphere. And just incorporating these math terms, even if your kids are younger, right? If they say, oh, that is a circle, and you can just say, well, that ball is actually a sphere, even though it looks like, it is a circle. So allowing them to just take these moments and dive into them just a little bit deeper every time, and just, introducing them to these words just naturally. It's a great way to just continue to build their learning confidence, and they're just eager to learn then. So then we can also do so many fun activities, art activities, and different sensory ideas. I have so many art activities that we can do, and just lots of flower activities for Mother's Day. We have bird feeders, or we have just getting out and watching the birds and observing the birds. Again, this was something that was so exciting for our kids. We had a bird nest under our deck one year, and they loved going out there and just peeking through the planks to see the eggs. Obviously, we don't touch them. We want to stay away from them as much as possible, but just allowing them to see that process. Just so many other fun activities. Of course, you could do a mud kitchen, just giving your kiddos some of those like measuring cups or bowls and spoons. Maybe you get some things at the dollar store, or maybe you have some things that you're like, I don't really need these anymore. Go outside and explore and play, and allow them to just be creative with it. Allow them to gather different materials and things from outside and just create. And of course, every one of the EduPlay Learning collections has a craft in it. We always are crafting, and I always love seeing our kids' creativity and imagination, because I give the ideas, but I love to watch them just take those ideas and just run with them. Allow them to, just be creative and change it up as needed, as they see, fit with other things that are in their house, or, things that they can with, how they can change that craft or activity up. So love, love all of these spring activities. There are so many more, but I want to know, what one was your favorite? And maybe, like I said, maybe there are some that you have saved. Like, I have so many. I have so many that I could share with you, but we would be here for hours. I have so many saved that I want to try out and do with my kids. But I would love to know what yours are. And I would love for you to join us in the Home Education with Ease Facebook group and share those ideas with us. You can share a picture. You can just tell us about it. You can share an Instagram post, whatever that may be. And then also, I would love to know, what are some of these activities that you're excited to try with your kiddos? Where you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think of that activity and I cannot wait to try it. I would love to know that, because I would love to know, what value are we bringing to your family? How are we helping you educate your kids in a fun and meaningful way? Because that really is the mission of it all. Well, if you have loved these hands-on activities for spring, but you want something that's already planned out for you and ready to go. You're like, I don't have time to search Pinterest, to look at all these things, to put all of these activities together. By the time I do that, the kids have already lost interest, right? Well, guess what? I have got you covered. Our EduPlay Learning Spring Activity Kit is packed with multi-sensory, engaging activities designed for kids ages 2 to 7. They are nature-inspired crafts, science experiments, outdoor learning adventures, reading activities, math activities, songs, stories, recipes, everything that you can think of to engage your kids in a fun and meaningful way. It's all about making this learning exciting for our kids and effortless for you. So there's no need to be searching for hours on ideas or activities, going to the store and gathering all those materials. We have done all of that prep work for you. You just grab the kit and you start exploring the fun of spring with your little ones. So you can check this out at eduplaylearning.com. All these links are going to be in the show notes below. And I'd love to hear how you are excited to use this on your homeschool journey, maybe in your classroom, maybe just your children do go to public school and you're just looking for extra activities for them. Or maybe your kiddos are toddlers and you're at home and you're like, what do I do? This is the answer. So I also want to share with you a special bonus. Remember I talked about that nature journal? Well, guess what? I have a special bonus for you. As a thank you, number one, for being here with me, and number two, for grabbing that EduPlay Learning Spring Activity Kit, I'm going to include an exclusive bonus for you. It is the Nature Journal, and it's a printable journal, so it would be included in your activity kit. And it's perfect for your little explorers to document their discoveries, draw their observations, and complete fun scavenger hunts. So you simply grab that by purchasing the EduPlay Learning Spring Activity Kit by April 15th, and then I will send you the Nature Journal as a free bonus. So again, just visit that eduplaylearning.com to get started. And I cannot wait for your kids to have so much fun with all of the activities that are in the activity kit and this nature journal, just allowing them to observe and document all that they see throughout the day. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me today. I know that I've shared a few of my favorite springtime activities, and I cannot wait to hear what you're going to try with your kiddos. I am definitely looking forward to getting outside with my kiddos and watching them learn and explore every day. Well, happy spring, everyone. And if you found value in today's episode, please subscribe. Share this with a mom that would also enjoy these activities and so much more. Remember, learning is all around us, and it's great and it's amazing to see each moment as a chance to learn, create, and have fun. See you next week, friends. Thank you for tuning in to the Home Education with Ease podcast. I hope today's episode left you feeling empowered and ready to take the next steps on your home education journey. Your support means the world to me. Please subscribe, leave a review, and share with a friend. For even more resources, be sure to join the free Facebook group, Home Education with Ease, and visit eduplaylearning.com to explore our programs and subscription kits. You can find the links and any other links mentioned in this episode in the show notes below. Remember, you're not alone. This community is here to support you every step of the way.